February 1959, the northern Ural Mountains, a place where winter temperatures can fall below minus 30 degrees Celsius. A place so isolated that even experienced explorers avoid it during the harshest months. But on one freezing night, something happened here that would become one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. 9 young hikers entered these mountains with confidence. They were healthy, experienced, highly trained. They carried enough food, enough equipment, and enough knowledge to survive one of the most dangerous environments on Earth. Every decision they made was carefully planned. Every kilometer was recorded in their journals. Everything seemed completely normal until they reached one lonely mountainside. Weeks later, search teams finally discovered their campsite. Their tent still stood in the snow, but something immediately felt wrong. The entrance wasn't open. Instead, the fabric had been cut from the inside. Their heavy winter boots were still inside. Their jackets still inside. Their food untouched. Yet, the hikers had left the safety of the tent, barefoot, in the middle of one of the coldest nights imaginable. Why? What could frighten 9 experienced hikers so badly that they willingly ran into a deadly blizzard without proper clothing, knowing it almost certainly meant death? Even more disturbing, their footprints suggested they weren't running in panic. They simply walked away, as if something had convinced them that staying inside the tent was even more dangerous. More than 60 years later, investigators, scientists, mountaineers, and historians still argue about what happened that night. Was it nature? A tragique accident? A military secret? Or something we still don't understand? Tonight, we reopen the evidence, piece by piece, because somewhere beneath the snow, the mountain may still be hiding its final secret. To understand what happened, we first need to meet the people behind the headlines. These are not thrill-seekers chasing danger. They were experienced hikers from the Soviet Union, students, engineers, and outdoor enthusiasts who had spent years exploring difficult mountain routes. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, was only 23 years old. Despite his age, he had already earned a reputation as a skilled expedition leader. The group's goal seemed straightforward: complete a challenging winter trek, cross the northern Ural Mountains, and earn one of the highest hiking certifications available at the time. It wouldn't be easy. The route stretched across hundreds of kilometers, through deep snow, powerful winds, and freezing temperatures. But for this group, it was simply another adventure. They laughed together, shared meals, took photographs, wrote diary entries. Nothing in those final photographs suggests fear. No sign that within days, their journey would become one of the greatest mysteries in modern history. What began as an ordinary expedition was about to become a story that the world would never stop asking questions about. January 23rd, 1959, the city of Sverdlovsk, Soviet Union. Long before sunrise, 9 young adventurers gathered at the railway station. Heavy backpacks rested on the frozen platform. Inside those packs, food for weeks, medical supplies, cameras, maps, and equipment carefully prepared for one of the toughest winter expeditions in the Soviet Union. For them, this wasn't a dangerous mission. It was another adventure, another mountain to conquer, another memory to create. They smiled for photographs, joked with one another, shared stories. No one standing on that platform could have imagined that these ordinary moments would become the final peaceful memories of 9 lives. As the train slowly disappeared into the snow-covered landscape, the expedition had officially begun. None of them would ever return. The leader of the expedition was 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov. Calm, organized, highly respected among experienced hikers. His teammates trusted every decision he made. Each member of the group brought different strengths. Some were engineering students. Others had military experience. Several had already completed extremely difficult mountain expeditions. These weren't beginners. They knew how to survive freezing temperatures, how to navigate blizzards, how to ration food, how to build emergency shelters. If any group could survive the harsh northern Ural Mountains. It was this one, yet experience alone, would not be enough. Over the next several days, the hikers crossed frozen rivers, snow-covered forests, and endless valleys buried beneath thick winter snow. They stopped often to rest, cook warm meals, repair equipment, laugh together. Their cameras captured moments of genuine happiness. Friends smiling, snowball fights, people helping each other climb steep slopes. Their diaries were filled with humor. They joked about the freezing weather, teased one another, sang songs during the evenings. Everything suggested a successful expedition. Even today, those photographs feel strangely unsettling because the people smiling into the camera had no idea they were documenting the final days of their lives. By the end of January, the mountains became more dangerous. Powerful winds swept across the open slopes. Snowfall reduced visibility. Temperatures dropped even further. The group faced an important decision: continue or turn back. They chose to continue. On February 1st, Igor Dyatlov made what appeared to be a routine decision. Instead of camping lower in the protection of the forest, the group pitched their tent high on the exposed slope of a mountain known as Kolit. Its name, translated from the language of the local Monsey people, means dead mountain to experienced hikers. This location offered one advantage: it would make tomorrow's climb easier. No one could have known that this ordinary decision would become one of the most debated choices in modern history. As darkness covered the mountain, the hikers prepared dinner, wrote in their journals, and settled inside the tent. Outside, the wind continued to grow stronger. Inside, everything appeared normal. No fear, no panic, no sign that within hours, something would happen that no one has ever been able to fully explain. The mountain had become completely silent. February 1st, 1959, as daylight slowly disappeared behind the frozen peaks. The hikers reached the eastern slope of Kolit. The weather had become increasingly difficult. Strong winds pushed snow across the mountainside, making it harder to see the path ahead. The group had originally planned to reach a nearby forest, where they could camp among the trees and shelter from the wind. But somewhere during the climb, they drifted off their intended route, whether it was because of poor visibility or a simple navigational mistake. We still don't know. Instead of descending back into the forest, Igor Dyatlov made a decision. The group would camp exactly where they were, on the exposed slope of the mountain. For experienced mountaineers, it wasn't an irrational choice. Camping on the slope meant they could continue their journey more efficiently the next morning. It saved valuable time. At that moment, it seemed like the logical decision. No one realized they had just chosen a location that would become famous around the world. As darkness settled over the mountain, the hikers began their familiar evening routine. They dug into the snow, creating a flat platform for their tent. Working together, they secured the canvas against powerful winds. Inside, they arranged their sleeping bags, prepared food, and tried to warm themselves after hours of hiking through freezing temperatures. Someone probably laughed. Someone probably complained about the cold. Someone may have already been thinking about reaching the next checkpoint the following day. Their cameras had captured countless joyful moments during the expedition. Their journals spoke of determination, friendship, and optimism. Nothing suggested fear. Nothing hinted at danger. For the 9 hikers, this was simply another winter night. It would become their last. What happened next has never been witnessed. No survivor ever told the story. There were no cameras recording the night, no nearby villages, no radio communication, only silence. Sometime after the hikers settled inside their tent, something happened, something unexpected, something serious enough to force 9 experienced people to abandon the only shelter they had, in temperatures far below freezing. Investigators later discovered something extraordinary. The entrance to the tent had not been opened. Instead, the fabric had been cut from the inside. Why would experienced hikers destroy their own shelter when every second outside brought them closer to freezing? Whatever happened, It happened quickly. Outside the tent, the snow preserved one final clue. Footprints. Not the chaotic marks of people fleeing in blind panic, but the footprints of individuals walking downhill, some barefoot, some wearing only socks, others with a single boot. The tracks stretched toward the forest, more than a kilometer away. Imagine standing in complete darkness, with freezing winds cutting through your clothing, choosing to leave behind your boots, your heavy coats, your supplies, and your only protection from the cold. What could possibly convince experienced hikers that walking into a deadly blizzard was a safer option? That question has haunted investigators for more than 6 decades, because whatever frightened them was never found. The mountain remained silent, and the night kept its secret. Back in Sverdlovsk, the days passed quietly. The hikers were expected to send a message once they completed the expedition. No message came. At first, their families weren't worried. Delays were common during winter expeditions. Snowstorms could slow even the most experienced climbers. One day became 2. 2 became 5. Soon, friends and relatives knew something was wrong. A rescue operation was organized. Experienced mountaineers, volunteers, soldiers, and later even aircraft joined the search. No one imagined what they were about to find. On February 26th, searchers finally spotted something half buried beneath the snow. It was a hiker's tent. From a distance, it looked abandoned. As rescuers moved closer, they noticed something deeply unsettling. The tent was still standing, but the entrance wasn't open. Instead, the fabric had been sliced open. From the inside the tent, they found almost everything the hikers would have needed to survive. Heavy winter boots, warm jackets, blankets, food, cameras, personal belongings. Everything had been left behind. Why would experienced hikers leave their only shelter without taking the very equipment that could save their lives? Outside the tent, investigators noticed another remarkable clue. Footprints. The snow had preserved them. There were no signs of a chaotic stampede, no evidence of people running wildly in every direction. Instead, the tracks suggested something stranger. The hikers had walked downhill, some barefoot, some wearing socks, some wearing only a single boot. The footprints stretched toward a distant forest, more than a kilometer away. The deeper investigators looked, the more confusing the evidence became. Why walk calmly into one of the coldest nights imaginable? Without proper clothing, what danger inside the tent could have seemed worse than freezing to death outside? Following the footprints, the search teams reached the edge of a large cedar tree. Beneath its branches, they found the first 2 hikers. They were lying close to the remains of a small fire. The fire had burned out long ago. Nearby, the bark of the cedar tree was damaged. Several branches had been broken high above the ground. It appeared that someone had climbed the tree. But why? Were they trying to see something, watching the tent, or hiding from something in the darkness? As rescuers searched the surrounding snow, they made another heartbreaking discovery. 3 more hikers lay between the cedar tree and the tent. Their position suggested something extraordinary. It looked as though they had been trying to return. They never made it, for members of the expedition were still missing. And what investigators would discover months later would transform an already baffling tragedy into one of history's greatest mysteries. Spring finally arrived. As the snow slowly melted, the search continued. Months after the first discoveries, rescuers found the remaining 4 hikers. They were deep inside a narrow ravine, covered beneath several meters of snow. Unlike the first victims, these hikers had managed to build a small shelter from branches and snow. It suggested something remarkable. Some members of the group had survived the initial event. They had worked together. They had tried to adapt. They had fought to stay alive. But despite their efforts, none of them made it home. Then, the medical examinations revealed something investigators had never expected. Some hikers had severe internal injuries, broken ribs, powerful chest trauma. One had a major skull fracture. Yet, their skin showed very few external wounds. It was as if tremendous force had acted on their bodies. without leaving the kinds of injuries normally expected. For investigators, the mystery had only deepened. Over the decades, countless explanations have been proposed. Some are supported by scientific research. Others remain speculative. Let's examine the strongest ones. Theory 1. Avalanche. The most common explanation is that a type of avalanche forced the hikers to leave their tent. If they believed snow was about to bury them, cutting open the tent would have been the fastest escape. This could explain why they left so quickly. However, many investigators question this idea. The slope where they camped was relatively gentle, and the tent was still standing when rescuers found it. Theory 2. Slab avalanche. In recent years, scientists proposed a more specific explanation. A slab of compacted snow may have shifted hours after the tent was built. Unlike a massive avalanche, this type can be small but powerful. It could explain why the hikers evacuated quickly, why some later suffered serious injuries, and why the tent wasn't completely destroyed. Today, many researchers consider this one of the strongest scientific explanations. But even it doesn't answer every question. Theory 3. Extreme winds. Some experts believe unusual mountain winds created terrifying conditions. Powerful gusts, combined with freezing temperatures, could have convinced the hikers that remaining inside the tent was too dangerous. Yet, this theory also leaves important questions unanswered. Theory 4. Military activity. For years, rumors suggested secret military testing. Some people pointed to reports of lights in the sky. Others believed experimental weapons were involved. Despite decades of investigation, no verified evidence has confirmed these claims. Most historians consider this theory unlikely. Other ideas. Over time, many other explanations appeared. Infrasound, human conflict, wild animals, even paranormal stories. These ideas continue to fascinate the public, but none have been supported by convincing evidence. More than 60 years have passed. The original investigators are gone. The snow has fallen and melted thousands of times. The tent has disappeared. The footprints have long since vanished. Only the questions remain. What frightened 9 experienced hikers enough to leave the safety of their shelter? Why did they walk into one of the coldest nights imaginable? Why did they become separated? Could a rare natural event explain everything? Or are there details that history has simply lost forever? Perhaps. The Dyatlov Pass Incident doesn't continue to captivate us because it has no answer. Perhaps it endures because every answer leaves another question behind. The mountain has never spoken. It has never revealed exactly what happened on that frozen night. And maybe it never will. Some mysteries are solved by evidence. Others become part of history itself. The Dyatlov Pass mystery stands between those two worlds. A real tragedy, a real investigation, and a story that continues to challenge everyone who studies it. What do you think happened on that mountain? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy documentaries that explore the line between history, science, and mystery, subscribe to iDrama, because sometimes the greatest mysteries are the ones that really happened.